On the Eastern Caribbean Securities Exchange, the main products we have, you find financial assets. They're all financial assets. And the good thing about the ECSE is that it gives an opportunity for the diversification of your investment in financial assets. We have shares that are traded on the ECSE. Presently, 13 companies, the shares of 13 companies are traded, and these 13 companies are across ECCU plus one out of Barbados, which is First Caribbean. We have bonds by one company, two companies have so far since the life of ECSE issued bonds, but now we have only one, which is the ECHMB, and we have 6 governments have bonds that are traded on the ECSE. 5 of them have bonds that were actually issued or auctioned on the ECSE. Notes are the medium term, so bonds are the long-term debt instruments, notes are the medium term. Bonds are beyond 5 years, 5 to 15, even up to 30 years. Notes are somewhere between 1 and 5 years, between 1 and 5 years. Commonly, they're about 3 years. So we have that also as available on the ECSE, and we have commercial paper recently added to our portfolio of products on the ECSE, and this commercial paper is really also issued by the ECHMB. Commercial paper because they are shorter. They are issued by companies, not by governments, and they are for shorter term, like 365 days or like 2 years or so. Telling you about the shares that we have available for you to be able to own by investing in them on the ECSE. We have the Bank of Nevis. It's presently trading at $4.25. We have the Cable and Wireless St. Kitts and Nevis Limited. You can own shares in St. Kitts and Nevis Limited as an investment that you put in for gaining income on your retirement, or for those shares gaining in value over time. By the time you're retired, you're able to sell them, you're able to take the money also. Cable and Wireless is now trading at $3.75. There is also St. Kitts National Bank, St. Kitts Nevis Angola National Bank. National Bank is also available, traded on the exchange, and SL Hosford trades on the exchange as well, and TDC. In other countries, we also have shares, but because the ECSE is a platform for the entire ECCU, you can buy and own shares in companies that are in those other countries. We have in various sectors, and I'm going to just refer to them in sectors. The bank and financial sectors, you can buy shares in the Bank of St. Vincent, which is St. Vincent base, the East Caribbean Financial Holding Company, which owns Bank of St. Lucia. Their shares are also on the ECSE available to us. The Republic Bank Limited and the Grenada Cooperative Bank. We also have utility shares on the exchange. So not only banks, not only trading companies like TDC and so, but also you have utility companies. 3 of them are on the exchange at this time, one from Dominica, the other from Grenada, and Lucilec from St. Lucia, all trading at very nice prices. I should mention that they pay very good dividends, not minding their high price. But when you get them, you get really good investments. And we have 2 other companies, the Grenreal Property Corporation. This is a property-owning company in Grenada that owns a facility just similar to Port Zante. It operates the port facility down there, and it has its shares trading on the ECSE as well. And First Caribbean, which is a cross-listed company. These are shares. And so you can buy these shares as an investment. And your returns on these shares are your dividend, as well as your earnings from these shares will be the fact that you can buy it at $2 today, and you can look on the board tomorrow and maybe it's selling at $3. That's a gain of $1 that you have. And there is no set time as to when that happens. It's just the way the market works. We also have the fixed income. I'd like to mention very quickly, when I say fixed income, I mean debt. There are debt securities that are on the exchange, and these are like the bonds, the treasury bills, the notes, and the commercial paper that I mentioned. Just to give you the numbers, for example, from Antigua, we have 26 instruments, 15 bonds. They have a lot of long-term bonds. For retirement planning, the financial advisors prefer that we invest in the long-term instruments because they are for a longer life, and they're more consistent. And over time also, you have the fixed income. You can predictably know what is growing into. When you get that income, as Percy said, it is income. You take out a portion you need for living in retirement, and you can put the rest back into investment as well. But these investments that we're referring to at ECSE are investments you can do now as young people, as working people, middle age, for retirement. And there are also investments you can even do while in retirement. While in retirement, you have other objectives, of course, and you have legacy and so on that you want to leave, inheritances and so on, and these can be used for that. So Antigua, Dominica, Grenada, St. Lucia, St. Vincent, and St. Kitts and Nevis have bonds and other debt instruments on the exchange that you can invest in. The Eastern Caribbean Home Mortgage Bank, which is a rated company, it has 8 instruments on the exchange right now, and they have started to do short-term instruments, so you can find them in the market very often, and a broker can tell you about them. So the question is, why invest for retirement? I think this is a way of putting the proposition that they gave us to speak on. And the reason why we invest for retirement and why it is good to include investment products in your retirement portfolio is that investment tend to have your assets, your financial assets, grow faster than savings. Because investments are putting money into productive sectors in the economy. So when you invest in a bond, that bond is loaned to a company that is involved in the productive sector, that is making a contribution to the country and is making profits supposedly, but whether it makes profits or not, the first person it pays back would be you, because the debt is always paid, and always paid first, even before the shares. If you are having a savings account, you get what the rate of interest on savings is. If you had an investment, you get the returns of the productive sector on your investment, which generally speaking tend to be at a higher rate than just an ordinary savings rate. And that is why it is important to invest in addition to savings in any portfolio that you build in a plan for retirement. The principal is working for us. It is building income, it's producing income. The interest and dividends and the capital gains are your returns, and the rate of return must be positive. We mention exceeding inflation all the time, and just be mindful of one thing as important as this is. It involves risk. The investment side of our retirement planning involves risk. And that's the reason why I am going to just spend one moment speaking about the rates that are available from the products on the ECSE now, so that you can have an idea and a comparison. But I will say it's very important to, when considering investing in the products on the ECSE, spend time with your broker, spend time with your financial advisor, determining which of these products are best for investment or inclusion in your portfolio. The brokers in St. Kitts and Nevis are Bank of Nevis on Nevis and National Bank on St. Kitts. But because this is one financial space through the ECCU, you also have the opportunity to use a broker in any of the other islands that would reach out to you or you would prefer to reach out to. Some of the rates that we have available on the exchange now, I will skip the short-term ones, because the short-term ones, you need to actually work with your broker to be able to follow and understand them, because they turn over so quickly that individuals are unlikely to be following them closely enough. So it really should be that you give the money to your broker, you develop a portfolio, a policy, and then he invests accordingly. But 2-year notes, for example, in 2015, they were at 4.5%. These are the average of all notes that were issued in that year. And you can see in 2017, this year, the notes that have been issued so far, they're coming in at a average rate of 6.5%. The 3-year notes at 6.5, 6.5, and none has been issued this year. A 5-year note was issued in 2015, well, not one, several, 6.87. So you can see those rates up there for the debt. The debt instruments generally tend to have higher rates than the regular savings rate and so on. So you should have some of them in your portfolio. I want to go on to the equities now and to tell you what the shares have been paying. The shares, remember, the ordinary shares are what we call and the shareholders are the ultimate risk bearers in the company. So you want to know for a fact that if the company makes money, you get dividend. If the company doesn't make money, you don't get dividend. So sometimes they pay dividends, sometimes they don't, they're not obligated to. So it is important to know which companies that we invest in, and to know their history over the long term, to be able to project with your financial advisor which to go. So some companies are up, others are down, and this has just taken a short. It would be more fair to take a longer number of years and average it out. But the average yield, the yield is, of course, the dividend that was received divided by the price of the share at the time. And given as a rate, you can now compare it with a bank rate or so. So you can see you have, in some years, companies are paying special dividends and the rates are as high as 14%. And finally, we give the comments on how to get started. To invest on the ECSE, you must go through a broker, and it's extremely important, not only because that's the way the market is structured, but also because when we're speaking about retirement planning, it's always very difficult to do it personally on your own. It's always very important to do it with professional advice. Investing in securities should only be a part of your portfolio. Investment should never really be the totality of your portfolio. But we recommend and we urge you, as we take this important information from the seminar, from the symposium, to try meet with a broker and see how we could include some of these ECSE products in your retirement planning.